Ladies and gentlemen, today we're stepping into a subject that's as real as it gets. Narcissists. Those people who thrive on control, manipulation, and putting themselves on pedestals. They exist in every corner of life, at work, in friendships, even in families, and they have an uncanny ability to make situations revolve entirely around them. Now, this isn't about labeling anyone or hurting feelings. Life, however, sometimes demands that we stand firm, recognize toxicity, and protect our peace at all costs. If you find yourself entangled with a narcissist, you need to understand how to reclaim your power without stooping down to their level or letting them determine your worth and your emotional state. Narcissists are masters of manipulation, true artists at spinning words and situations to provoke a reaction from you. Everything they do has a purpose: to control, confuse, and destabilize. They build intricate games designed to draw you into a web of drama, conflict, and emotional turbulence. Every comment, every gesture, every calculated silence is intended to make you doubt yourself, question your decisions, and feel unworthy. They feed on your emotional responses. They thrive when you react, when your guard is down, when the smallest word or gesture triggers an internal storm. But the moment you stop playing along, you begin to dismantle the structure they've built so meticulously over time. Choosing to disengage is one of the most powerful tools you have. Ignoring a narcissist does not make you weak, indifferent, or detached. It is a conscious, deliberate reclaiming of your energy and your peace. Your attention is their fuel, whether they lure you with flattery or try to bait you with criticism. When you refuse to respond, you cut off the very source they rely on. Their gaslighting, guilt-tripping, and passive-aggressive tactics begin to lose power. Your silence becomes a statement. Your composure is a form of resistance. You are not giving them the emotional leverage they desperately crave. You are dismantling their playbook one calm, measured step at a time. Narcissists hate being ignored because it strips away their sense of significance. They want to feel in control, powerful, and central to every interaction, but your refusal to react reminds them that this power is an illusion. Every attempt they make to provoke you, every escalation, is merely a reaction to the boundaries you set. Your consistency in remaining detached forces them to confront their own emptiness, their own inability to sustain dominance without someone else's participation. By not giving them access to your emotional energy, you reclaim autonomy. This isn't just about preserving your peace. It's about taking back the power that they tried so hard to steal from you. Boundaries are another aspect that narcissists absolutely despise. They thrive on blurring lines, violating personal space, and eroding your sense of self. They push and prod, testing limits, always seeking to find cracks in your defenses. But when you assert a boundary, you make a statement they cannot ignore. This is my space, my rules, my life. Enforcing these boundaries is not just about saying no. It's about declaring your values, needs, and limits clearly. It's about refusing to participate in the toxic dance they try to lead, disrupting the manipulative framework they rely on to maintain power. Every boundary is a disruption to their control, a refusal to be a pawn in their game, and an act of empowerment that they cannot abide. The act of setting boundaries is a radical assertion of self-respect. It shows that you recognize your worth, that you will not tolerate emotional exploitation, and that you will not bend to the whims of someone who prioritizes control over connection. Narcissists attempt to undermine boundaries through persistence, charm, or intimidation, but firmness is key. The more consistent you are in reinforcing your limits, the more they realize that their usual tactics will not work. Standing firm is not about confrontation. It is about clarity. It communicates that your life is not theirs to manipulate, that your peace is non-negotiable, and that you are not a disposable participant in their quest for validation or control. Narcissists often rely heavily on your compliance or your emotional availability to feed their ego. They have an insatiable need for control and affirmation, and they test the limits of anyone who dares to stand their ground. They will push, prod, and guilt trip you in subtle and overt ways, attempting to make you feel selfish or unreasonable simply for protecting your own well-being. Their tactics are designed to destabilize your sense of self and make you question your decisions. But here's the crucial truth. You are not responsible for their feelings, nor are you obligated to surrender your peace for their validation. Recognizing this is the first step toward empowerment. Narcissists are strategic. They will shift seamlessly between charm and aggression, employing every trick in their arsenal to bypass your limits. One moment, they may dazzle you with charisma, flattery, or affection, and the next, they may deploy intimidation, passive aggression, or criticism. This constant oscillation is intended to create confusion, self-doubt, and ultimately, compliance. This is precisely where enforcement of boundaries becomes essential. A boundary without enforcement is like a locked door with an open window. No matter how strong your declaration may seem, if you allow hesitation, they will find a way in. Consistent enforcement communicates that your limits are not negotiable. Enforcing boundaries is about standing resolute in the face of manipulation. It requires unwavering commitment to your own well-being and the ability to disengage from their drama, even as they escalate. They may attempt to provoke feelings of guilt or discomfort, exploiting your empathy to regain control. Recognizing these attempts for what they are, a desperate bid to manipulate, is key. By holding your ground, you are not just protecting your emotional peace, you are demonstrating that their games no longer have power over you. Boundaries, when enforced consistently, become a form of liberation, a declaration that you are no longer a participant in their manipulative narratives. Boundaries are not simply defensive walls. They are bridges to freedom. They articulate who you are, what you value, and what you will not tolerate. For a narcissist, boundaries often feel like rejection, and rejection is something they cannot bear. But for you, boundaries are an act of self-respect, a reminder that you have the power to dictate the terms of your interactions and reclaim authority over your life. By asserting and defending your limits, you disrupt the framework of their control. You communicate that their influence has an expiration date and that your peace, dignity, and autonomy are non-negotiable, a truth they cannot manipulate or erode. A narcissist's existence revolves almost entirely around external validation. Their sense of self-worth is fragile, dependent on constant praise, admiration, and affirmation from others. They cannot generate their own internal sense of confidence or satisfaction. They rely on you to do it for them. Every compliment, every acknowledgement is fuel for their inflated self-image. This dependence, however, is where you hold extraordinary power. Refusing to validate their ego dismantles the very foundation upon which their self-constructed reality is built. By withdrawing your affirmation, you disrupt the cycle of supply that sustains their delusions of grandeur, exposing the fragility beneath their carefully curated persona. Withholding validation does not mean being cold, distant, or unkind. It is a conscious act of clarity and self-preservation. It involves recognizing the unhealthy dynamics at play and choosing to no longer participate in their need for constant reassurance. When they attempt to fish for compliments, brag, or seek acknowledgement, you maintain neutrality. You refrain from offering flattery, praise, or affirmation. You do not feed into their self-aggrandizing stories or support their inflated sense of importance. By doing so, you reclaim control over your emotional energy. You make it unmistakably clear that their need for external validation no longer dictates your behavior, your responses, or your peace. Refusing to validate a narcissist's ego is not about being cold, rude, or dismissive. It is about recognizing the unhealthy dynamics at play and consciously choosing not to participate in their insatiable need for constant reassurance. When they attempt to fish for compliments, seek affirmation, or position themselves as superior, you stay neutral. You offer no praise, no flattery, and no participation in their self-aggrandizing narratives. By doing this, you take away the power they rely on to feel significant. Instead of reacting to their attempts to elevate themselves, you stand firmly rooted in your own sense of value, unaffected by their desperate need for recognition, and unwavering in the knowledge of your own worth. As narcissists realize their usual tactics are ineffective, their frustration often grows. They may attempt manipulation, guilt-tripping, or playing the victim, trying to provoke an emotional response from you. They might even attempt to convince you that you are the one in the wrong, subtly implying that failing to acknowledge their greatness is selfish or unfair. But when you refuse to validate their ego, you remove their control over the narrative. Their sense of importance no longer dictates the flow of conversation, your decisions, or the direction of your interactions. You effectively neutralize their attempts to dominate your mind and maintain emotional leverage over you. Narcissists are fundamentally driven by the need for constant attention and affirmation. Without it, their carefully constructed image begins to falter. Withholding attention acts as a mirror, reflecting back their true, vulnerable selves. Without the external validation they depend on, they are confronted with the emptiness they work tirelessly to hide. They can no longer pretend to be flawless, superior, or untouchable, and this reality becomes uncomfortable for them. By refusing to feed their ego, you introduce them to a taste of the isolation, insecurity, and dissatisfaction they have always sought to avoid. In essence, you force them to confront the fragility they carefully conceal. Confidence is the ultimate shield against a narcissist's attempts to undermine your self-worth. True confidence is not loud, aggressive, or ostentatious. It is quiet, unwavering, and rooted in a deep understanding of your own value and abilities. When you possess this kind of self-assurance, their manipulative tactics lose their potency. A narcissist cannot shake you when you know exactly who you are, what you stand for, and the strength you carry within. Confidence is a protective armor that makes attempts to belittle, control, or intimidate entirely ineffective. It communicates power without aggression, stability without arrogance, and self-respect without compromise. For a narcissist, genuine confidence is a direct threat. They feed on the insecurity of others, using doubt and self-questioning as tools to control, manipulate, and belittle. But when you walk into a room with your head held high, fully aware of your own worth, they are confronted with a force they cannot bend or manipulate. Confidence radiates from within, sending a clear and powerful message. You cannot diminish me. This is not arrogance. It is the acknowledgement of your inherent value. It is a quiet, firm refusal to allow anyone, especially a narcissist, to define your worth or influence your sense of self. When you stop seeking validation from others, including narcissists, the balance of power shifts decisively in your favor. You no longer allow anyone to dictate your emotional state or question your decisions. Narcissists rely on your doubts, insecurities, and constant need for approval to maintain control, but confidence dismantles that framework. When you trust yourself and your judgment, you no longer need permission, affirmation, or reassurance from anyone else. You become unshakable, self-reliant, and empowered. By cultivating inner confidence and refusing to engage in their manipulations, you reclaim control over your life, your peace, and your emotional energy, leaving the narcissist powerless and exposed. Confidence fundamentally changes the way you make choices and decisions, anchoring them firmly in your values, goals, and sense of self. Narcissists, however, are wired to undermine confidence wherever they encounter it. They will relentlessly search for flaws, magnify mistakes, or plant seeds of self-doubt in subtle and overt ways. They may criticize your work, belittle your achievements, or imply that you are unworthy of respect and success. Yet true confidence does not crumble under these attacks. It grows stronger. It allows you to recognize their words as reflections of their own insecurities rather than truths about you. By cultivating this inner certainty, you build a fortress that their tactics cannot penetrate. When you embody confidence, you send a powerful message to a narcissist. You are not available for manipulation. You refuse to bend to their will, participate in their games, or let them shape your narrative. Confidence acts as a shield, establishing your self-worth as unshakable and your emotional landscape as your own. A narcissist who relies on destabilizing others finds no purchase in someone who knows their own value. Your decisions, actions, and emotions remain firmly under your control, impervious to their attempts at domination. Confidence transforms you from a potential target into a force they cannot influence or coerce. One of the most devastating realities for a narcissist is realizing that you can thrive without them. Narcissists survive on the belief that they are irreplaceable, that their presence is essential to your happiness, success, or emotional stability. They feed on the idea that they are the center of your world, controlling your thoughts, actions, and feelings. But when you live independently, flourishing without their involvement, you challenge their entire self-perception. Thriving without a narcissist is not merely surviving in their absence. It is about living so fully, so purposefully, that their absence becomes a minor footnote, barely noticed in the trajectory of your life. Thriving independently sends a clear message. You no longer rely on the narcissist for validation, attention, or affection. You demonstrate that your happiness, fulfillment, and success are your own. Narcissists feed off weakness, dependency, and attachment. So when you break free from these chains, it exposes the fragility at the core of their inflated self-image. Thriving does not require dramatic cutoffs or hostility. It is a quiet, intentional refusal to allow them to dictate the direction of your life. Your energy, focus, and achievements begin to grow exponentially, while the narcissist's influence diminishes with every step you take toward independence. As you focus on your own growth, you notice tangible changes in your life. You become more energized, self-assured, and attuned to your personal goals. Your social circle expands to include people who genuinely support and uplift you, those who contribute positively to your journey rather than drain your energy. Each success you achieve, every milestone you reach becomes a subtle but undeniable challenge to the narcissist's perceived centrality in your life. Their ego cannot withstand the reality that your life is thriving in ways they no longer control, and this realization shakes the foundation of their sense of superiority and influence. Thriving independently also means prioritizing your own dreams, passions, and long-term vision. The narcissist may attempt to belittle your accomplishments, downplay your progress, or diminish the value of your achievements. None of it matters because your sense of purpose and success is no longer tethered to their approval. You pursue what excites you, what aligns with your ambitions, and what brings you joy. With every forward step, your confidence grows and you become increasingly resistant to manipulation. Their attempts to intimidate or undermine you gradually lose potency, leaving you unshakable, focused, and liberated from their control. Finally, narcissists cannot tolerate seeing others live well without them. It exposes the emptiness and lack of substance that fuel their insatiable need for control. Your thriving, independent life becomes a mirror reflecting their limitations and insecurities. This realization, often uncomfortable or even infuriating for them, underscores the power you hold when you prioritize yourself and your growth. Living fully, confidently, and independently is one of the most effective ways to reclaim your autonomy and demonstrate that their manipulative influence no longer holds sway. That, my friends, is the kind of power that rattles the core of a narcissist. One of the most effective ways to break free from the hold of a narcissist is by staying calm in the storm. Narcissists thrive on chaos, drama, and emotional upheaval. They feed off triggering your emotions, creating confusion, and manipulating your reactions to keep you in a constant state of instability. But when you develop the ability to remain composed, even in the midst of their most calculated provocations, you disarm their capacity to control you. Staying calm is not a passive act. It is a deliberate strategy, a form of resistance that signals clearly you will not be moved by their attempts to dominate or destabilize your mental and emotional landscape. Narcissists often create storms intentionally, moments of emotional volatility designed to draw you into conflict or panic. They lash out, spread drama, or provoke arguments because they know that every emotional reaction you have becomes a tool for their manipulation. This is precisely when your most powerful weapon comes into play, your composure. Remaining calm does not mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is fine. It means choosing to respond from clarity rather than chaos. By refusing to be baited, you remove the fuel they rely on to sustain their manipulative games. Your calmness becomes a mirror reflecting your inner strength and their inability to control you. Staying calm in the storm is not about suppressing emotions or denying that conflict exists. It is about exercising control over your reactions and refusing to let their behavior dictate your emotional state. It requires stepping back, observing the situation objectively, and responding thoughtfully rather than impulsively. This demands self-discipline and resilience, as narcissists often escalate their tactics in an effort to provoke you. They push buttons, challenge your limits, and attempt to destabilize your peace. But every time you remain composed, you reclaim power, demonstrating that their games no longer have authority over your thoughts, actions, or feelings. Remaining calm also reinforces your boundaries, which is critical when dealing with a narcissist. They often attempt to manipulate you into feeling guilty, anxious, or insecure to breach the walls you've set. But when you stay composed, you signal that emotional coercion will not work. Calmness strengthens the barriers you have built and asserts that your personal space, values, and limits are non-negotiable. It is a quiet but unmistakable form of resistance. Your unwavering serenity communicates that you are in control of your emotional world and that no external chaos, no matter how intense, can penetrate the foundation of your inner peace. When you master the art of calmness, you regain authority over your life and cease being a pawn in their manipulative games. You begin to operate on your own terms rather than reacting to the chaos they create. It's not just about surviving the storm, it's about becoming the center of it. Narcissists may continue to attempt provocations, but your stability renders their efforts ineffective. You learn to maintain focus, clarity, and emotional equilibrium regardless of their actions. In doing so, you protect your mental and emotional well-being, and simultaneously, you rob the narcissist of the satisfaction they derive from your distress. Ultimately, dealing with a narcissist is about reclaiming control. By ignoring manipulative tactics, enforcing boundaries, refusing to validate their ego, remaining confident in your worth, thriving independently, and staying calm in the storm, you dismantle the power they once held over you. Every choice you make, every boundary you reinforce, and every moment of serenity you maintain sends a clear message. Your life, your emotions, and your happiness are yours alone. The narcissist is no longer the center of your world, and their influence is nullified, leaving them powerless in the face of your strength, clarity, and resilience. Remaining calm in the storm is perhaps the ultimate act of empowerment. It is not about retaliation, revenge, or proving a point. It is about rising above, asserting your autonomy, and refusing to allow chaos to dictate your life. By doing so, you create an impenetrable shield around your peace, your focus, and your identity. Narcissists may try endlessly to provoke, manipulate, or destabilize you, but your calmness ensures they cannot succeed. You reclaim your energy, your space, and your sense of self. The storm rages around you, but you remain anchored, steady, and unwavering, a force that cannot be shaken. And that, my friends, is how you neutralize a narcissist's power. Dealing with a narcissist is one of the most emotionally taxing experiences anyone can face, because it challenges not only your patience, but also your sense of self. Narcissists are wired to seek control, validation, and attention at every turn. Their behaviors are rooted in insecurity, but their outward expression is often arrogance, charm, or even aggression. They have an uncanny ability to make others doubt themselves, question their worth, or feel as if the world revolves around the narcissist alone. This is why understanding their patterns is crucial, not to retaliate, but to reclaim your autonomy and maintain your peace. When you interact with a narcissist, you quickly realize that conventional logic often fails. They twist words, rewrite narratives, and manipulate facts to suit their agenda. Every action they take is calculated to provoke an emotional response. They feed off conflict, doubt, and attention, creating a feedback loop where your reactions empower their control. This is why strategies like ignoring them, setting boundaries, refusing to validate their ego, staying confident, thriving independently, and remaining calm in the storm are so effective. Each of these actions dismantles the invisible scaffolding they rely on, making it increasingly difficult for them to exert influence over your life. Confidence is central in dealing with a narcissist because it serves as an unshakable anchor in the storm of manipulation. Narcissists feed on insecurity, doubt, and emotional volatility. The moment you embody confidence and trust your own judgment, their usual strategies lose their potency. You begin to act from clarity rather than reaction, making decisions aligned with your values and goals instead of being drawn into their drama. Thriving independently amplifies this effect. When a narcissist realizes that your happiness, success, and emotional stability are not dependent on them, their perceived importance diminishes. They are forced to confront the reality that you are self-sufficient and that your life does not revolve around their whims or manipulations. Remaining calm in their presence is another profoundly empowering tool. Narcissists thrive on chaos and emotional upheaval because it grants them control over your reactions. But when you refuse to be rattled, you strip them of their leverage. This calmness is not suppression. It is mastery of your own emotional world. It allows you to observe the situation objectively, make decisions from clarity, and maintain your focus on long-term goals rather than immediate provocations. By staying composed, you protect your mental health, reinforce boundaries, and create a stable emotional environment in which their attempts at manipulation cannot penetrate. Ultimately, dealing with a narcissist is less about confrontation and more about reclaiming your personal power. Every action you take to protect your boundaries, assert your worth, refuse to validate their ego, cultivate confidence, thrive independently, and maintain calmness erodes the power they once held over you. This process is transformative because it teaches self-reliance, emotional resilience, and clarity in judgment. It demonstrates that true strength is not in overpowering another person, but in refusing to allow manipulation, control, or chaos to dictate your life. By living fully on your own terms, you create a life that a narcissist cannot influence, and in doing so, you discover the depth of your own power and freedom.